Check it out. Okay, there we go.
Start tonight's work study.
Go ahead and start it. All right. This is exciting. We have lots of people here. So, as you know, my name is Laura Smith. I'm a financial consultant for the district, and I've been here for several months. We have several new board members on, and school finance is, all I can say is it's an oxymoron, and so there's more exceptions than there are rules. But one of the frustrating things about school finance is it seems like we should be able to build a budget right away, and by the time we're through, you'll understand why my numbers are always fluctuating. As an overview, as you can see, this was put out by Chuck Essex, who knows more about school finance than anyone in the state. They do some adjustments for regional cost and that sort of thing, so you can never tie directly back into these numbers. But you can see, as we all know, Arizona is not in a good place for school finance. They do some adjustments, and this is all based on 2012, because we have to go back 2 years to get to state reports, or to federal reports. And these numbers for Arizona, if you go to the Auditor General's website, you can pull up Higley or any other district. Most of the reports we use in finance are available through ADE without a common logon. So when I take the expenses, I was a little surprised to see that Higley Unified School District expenditures are 80% of the Arizona state average in 2012. But then I looked into what they are excluding in that report, and they don't count community schools or the civic center expenditures, so that's about $3 million for us. So it's not that we are cheap, we are getting the job done. As an overview, the governor in January announced his first proposed budget. This is not approved through the legislature, so it's at this point in time just sort of an announcement. But you can see that he wants to increase the spending by $134 million. One of the big pieces is he's at this time talking about a 1.57% increase to the base support level. And he also has a great idea that the lawsuit, the court says that they owe us $312 million. He seems to think that we'll settle for $74 million, which is about 24 cents on the dollar. So I don't think we'll do that. We need the money. And the other adjustments you see there, the major reduction he has is the 5% in non-classroom spending. But like I said, this is all just a proposed budget. Where did this $74 million come from on the adjustment? This is a K-12 base inflation on our base support level. And you can see that for several years it was flat from 2009 to 2013. And he would like, the court has ruled that we get the 312. It's just kind of a quick overview here. We'll see what happens. So when you get into the big picture, there's about 1 million kids, ADM in the state of Arizona, and he wants to increase it at $1.35 per student. So down below, I calculated what that would, the effect on Higley would be. And then, of course, he wants to decrease $124 per student. So that would be a reduction of us for about $1.3 million. And this is based on our 100th day count, which is what we fund next year on. And that number changes all the time. But as of the point of this slide, that was what the count was. So basically, the governor's plan, on the left hand, he's going to increase our budget with the 1.57% increase to the base support level. And then right away, he's going to take money back. The purpose of this is to educate you on how I build a budget, how anyone builds a budget, and some of the effects of why these numbers change constantly. There actually is a formula where the dollars come from, how do we categorize our budgets, and ultimately everyone is concerned about the percentage of the dollars get to the classroom. So one of the key factors is what is the difference between ADM, which is average daily membership, and enrollment, because you staff to enrollment and you plan bus routes by enrollment. In other words, what's the maximum number of kids I'm going to have that I need to serve. And in the finance department, we get paid by what I call cheeks in the seat. So if you're not in school, I'm not getting money for you. And that's how the state funds us. So there's always a big adjustment there. And those numbers are constantly changing. School districts are funded on prior year membership. Charter schools are current year. It's day one, and you actually put in an estimate in the summer if you're a charter school, but because we are district-sponsored charter schools, I didn't put in an estimate because the 40th day they'll start kicking out money, and I didn't have to make any adjustment.
So if a charter student starts in a charter school, but they come to us at winter break, how does that work?
Well, this year it would be different, but prior to that, a charter school, as soon as they leave that school, then that funding is reduced every month after that. And we would only get a portion of it because our funding is based on the first 100th day. So if it's at Christmas time, that's probably around 80 days in, say. So we have the potential of picking up the 20 kids, 20 days, if he doesn't miss anything more and goes full time with us.
And you said that's changing this year?
Well, because the charter schools are going back to public schools, the district-sponsored charter schools.
Oh, no, I'm just talking about in general.
In general, yes. So then the district would pick up the potential of those last 20 education days. That's the most they would get if they were full-time and didn't miss any schools, any days. So if a kid enters our school on the 101st day of the year, we will receive no funding.
Okay.
How do we provision, this is a growth district, so how, if we're paid from the previous year attendance, how do we provision for a lot of move-ins?
Well, right now, we will, when we do the May revision, we'll pick up the growth that we're entitled to. And then if there's more growth after that, as they run congruency tests and that sort of thing that they do in calculating the ADM, then we'll pick up that budget capacity. So it's always, the ADM numbers constantly change. There's a report called the APOR 55-1 that you can get in at ADE and see they run them monthly, except for 2 months, that we reconcile to so that we know our budgets are right. So we get weighted student counts, and I'll show you some examples of those in just a minute. It's the different grade levels. Each ADM can be adjusted so that they're more than an ADM. The base support level is set by the governor or by the legislatures. And then as a piece of the base support level, we have a teacher performance evaluation system that is approved by the State Board of Education. So we get this small increase on the base support level. And then there's a factor called the Teacher Experience Index, which is helps increase your budget if you have teachers that have been there a long time, so they're higher on the salary schedule. But because Higley is a growing district and picking up new teachers all the time, we don't qualify for that extra money. So this is an example of the weighted student count. So if you're a K-8th grade, then instead of just one ADM, you're actually worth 1.158. If you're a high schooler, you're 1.268. And you multiply those out. Then we have what we call Group B kids. So these are have special needs. So we get additional weight per one pupil. And all this is run, once again, based on ADM. So if they're absent, it will reduce that funding. But we still have to have the services. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I wanted to bring this up because over the years, you can see the base support level here. And you can see that back in 2006, 2007, 2008, we were receiving increases every year because of the inflation factor. This is part of the lawsuit issue, in that they're saying they gave us more than inflation was at that time. And then for the next 4 or 5 years, we had no increase. And now we have started a small increase, and I have a question mark for next year because it's not settled. But right now, they're talking about the 1.57. So it'd be about 50 some odd dollars more per pupil. But on the right-hand side, we have the Arizona State Retirement System contribution rate. Now, the district contributes, and so does the employee. So if you're a district employee, you have less take-home money all those years if you didn't get an increase. And that's why teachers go, I lost money, I didn't get money, but the district didn't get money either. So it's a double-edged sword there. And of course, we have the same type, excuse me, cost going up with insurance rates. And the district has to pay utilities, everything else goes up. But as far as teachers' personal paycheck, this is something that it's not fair, but we got the same problem.
You said you expect a 1.5% increase?
1.57%, yeah, for next year. That's what he's proposing right now. So this would bring it up to 34.56, something like that, per ADM. And this year, our Arizona State retirement is actually going down, just a small amount, but we like that. So another big piece of our budget is our transportation. Excuse me. We get a transportation support level depending on how far each kid rides on an average each day. An eligible rider is defined by the state as anyone elementary, they have to live at least a mile from their home. High schoolers are 1.5 miles. Oftentimes districts support having kids on the bus due to health and safety reasons. So if you choose to transport these pupils, you won't get reimbursed for it, but it's still the right thing to do. So then you come up with what you call your district support level. Then they have what's called a transportation revenue control limit, which your taxpayers have to make up the difference for that. It's kind of a complicated formula, but it can only increase so much, and this year Josh has done a great job getting us right where we need to be.
You said taxpayers control that within the district?
No, I
Or
said we
overall?
tax for the difference between the TRCL and the transportation support level. So we get $2.49 a mile and 18 cents a mile for activities. And we get a little more budget capacity if we choose to do it, and then our taxpayers have to pay for that difference.
Same with other schools?
Yes, yes.
Does it just come out in the equalization tax, or where does it come out of?
No, it's equalization doesn't address that difference. The local taxpayer has to. So when you get through getting to your base support level and your transportation revenue control limit, it adds up to what we call, the transportation revenue control limit, and you get your revenue control limit. And that is when you board members receive our budgets, and if you go to page 7, there's a whole set of worksheets that get us to that point. Once you get your revenue control limit, that money can be allocated between either M&O or your district additional assistance. So when you look at page 7, you can see that transfer is eligible. So then your district additional assistance once again, is based on a weighted count. So you take your 100th day ADM, which is not a weighted student count. Remember when you went into M&O, you got weighted counts for different things. Now it's just a straight student count. So before they decide to reduce it, these are the amounts you start with per pupil. And notice down at the bottom, the CA is actually charter additional assistance. And that's that extra funding that the district had available to it for the middle school payments. So you can see that if you're a charter school senior in high school and you go to, or make it an 8th grader, since that's what we have, you get $450 per 8th grader. And if you're a charter school, you get $1,707.
How is the support level determined?
The what?
The support level?
Those grades right there. If you're preschool through 8th grade and you're a district school, you get the $450. If you're a high schooler, you get $492, plus they throw in $69 to cover basic textbooks that at one time were rented to students. So, but a charter school kid, every kid gets the 1707.
I think you asked how is it determined. I don't think there's any set standards of how it's determined. It's a budget fund that's easily cut. So how is it determined? It's determined by where do we need to cut, and they cut it. It used to be, the DAW used to be soft capital, correct?
No,
the
DAW is what they referred to as unrestricted and soft capital, and they took away the soft capital.
Right.
So we used to get $225 a student in soft capital. That was for capital items that touch students, as compared to unrestricted capital, which cleverly named unrestricted. So that would go for all other things or students.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they've combined those two. Did that answer the question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Excuse me, I got a little cold. So then we go into the factor of, well, how can we increase our budget? Obviously, we get growth. Right now, we're running about 1.4 million, but last week, the last report was 1.5. Next month, it might be something else, because those ADM numbers are constantly changing. So it'll take till probably October before they settle the numbers that ran through May. It sounds crazy, but it's true. These reports, they just change. So that affects our budgets. And then, of course, you have your overrides, which yours is in a phase-down mode for M&O. And then you have the budget balance carry forward, which, if you recall, at the one meeting I had talked about, the cash had been reduced, and I had incorrectly stated the budget had been reduced, and our budget balance carry forward from last year is actually a little over 1.2 million. So that increases this year's budget. By law, you cannot carry forward more than 4%. If you do, the state thinks that you have too much money. So the next slide here, I took our tax rates. This isn't a very good color for that, but for almost the last 10 years, this is what we assess to our taxpayers, the rate per 100,000. Oh, thank you. And then we have state equalization.
Hey, Laura.
Yes.
Can you go back to that slide real quick?
Sure.
So can you talk to us about, from the historical perspective, why the jump from the 5s and the 4s up to the 659, 728, 771?
The assessed valuations tie into equalization.
As they started coming back?
Yes. So this year, our qualifying tax rate will actually go down because our assessed valuations are going up. They work in opposite, so that's a very good question. And so this covers all the stuff that we assess the taxpayers for. But that would be the difference there. So the state equalization assistance, Higley does receive that. It's a formula that the state has a lot to do with. They give us a qualifying tax rate, which, as I said, goes down as the assessed values go up. And you all should have gotten your assessed valuations in the mail. And everyone looks at it and goes, what do I do with this? It's what we get from the county, district-wide, what the assessed valuations are for Higley Unified School District, and we use those assessed values in calculating the tax rates. So by law, when we do a truth in taxation, if you recall, we assessed adjacent ways, which means we have to do a truth in taxation statement by law. And by statute, we have to use the value of $100,000. When I did my presentation, I Googled the average home value in Higley and threw that in as well so that it's a little more appropriate. I don't know how old this statute is, but it's not recent. So you take the full cash value of your home, which you just received in the mail. By law, the assessment rate is 10%. So your tax rate times your assessment rate divided by 100 gives you, and remember I figured over here what your tax rate was. And so then you multiply that out. It comes up with $718 a year. The good news is your property taxes are tax deductible, so it's something we pay. We're not the only thing that taxes for property tax. You've got your colleges, your fire districts, water districts, every other community service adds to your tax bill, but normally the school is the biggest one. And of course that's on a $100,000 home, so you'd have to adjust it accordingly. So people often think that Washington provides us with some money. And you can see that our federal dollars are 4% of our revenues. And the county gives us 4%. They don't give us, it's our share. And the local property contributes the most, and the state is the second biggest. And these are based on last year's revenues.
With that breakout under federal, would you be able to break out what that all entails?
Which one?
Just under federal.
Oh, under federal, yeah, it's probably going to be food service.
Title I.
And it will be our federal grants, yes.
Okay. Is there, under special ed services, how much is fed and how much is state?
Well, the SPED money, the federal grants would be federal money, and the other would be state. So our funds, I have that up here in just a second, that I broke out the federal funds and the state funds and local funds. So if that isn't answered in just a minute, we'll come back to this.
Is the county just matching federal funds? Is that why
It's part of our equalization money there. Now, another thing that the state and the county do, which is not friendly to our cash flow, is right off at the top of the year, they sent us a notice, which they seem to send every year. I think it's $12 million. They said, well, we're going to delay this till August, even though the school year starts in July. So we're always in arrears collecting money because the state withholds it to balance their budget, and taxpayers pay normally through their homeowners or their mortgage payments. So every month they do an escrow payment, and then we get money in November and April. So it creates a cash flow problem that we deal with.
The rollover budget gimmick.
Yeah, whatever. I'll just wait a couple million. So how are budgets categorized in maintenance and operation? Because later on when we get into classroom dollars, you can see that a lot of the money we spend is not necessarily in the classroom. So program 100 is what we refer to as regular education, but in that pot there is also all the functions of instructional support, student support, or staff support, administration, central services, maintenance, food service, and the community programs, along with, I guess that's it. I think I named them all. Program 200 is special education money. Now that's, remember the weighted student counts? We receive some extra funding for that. But you never receive what it truly costs you to do this, so we're not in the money, we're not in the business of making money. Transportation. Now, there's not a bus running out there except for kids. And that doesn't get to count towards dollars in the classroom. So, and we also supplement our transportation program. The fact that we're landlocked and we have a railroad running through here is not conducive to putting miles on the bus in any efficient manner. I have some districts that make a couple million in transportation because they have long routes and they can turn those miles with the same kids on there, and we're driving around in circles here. So it's just a fact. Not good, bad, or indifferent. There's nothing you can do for it. We get the most dollars per mile that we're allowed to get. K-3 reading is an add-on now. It's part of the Group B kids. So obviously that money is only for K-3 reading. 610 is your co-curricular activities, your band, your choir. They still count towards dollars in the classroom, as long as they're for instruction. Athletics is the same way. Community education, that was part of that piece that isn't included in those on the front cover when I said Higley was 80% of the state average. These monies don't count towards that calculation. I hit the wrong button. I'll get back up there in just a second. Okay. So then we have different funds, and these are especially used to support the classroom dollars, so I put these in here. You've got your classroom site fund, which is what some people refer to as Prop 301 money. And so we get a certain amount that we allocate out to Fund 11, which is your base salary, so that can go towards teacher base increase. 40% is performance pay and 40% is other. We also have an instructional improvement fund. This is known as Indian gaming money. That's not really anything we can budget for. It's cash controlled. We don't know what we're going to get, so you never want to spend more than you have, and you pretty much want next year's money. It's a good idea to not use that money if possible. But it can be used for dropout prevention programs or instructional improvement programs.
Is it just a separate fund, or does it go under M&O too?
Yeah, it goes in its own fund, Fund 020. And you know the monthly report I give you, where I have at the top the budget-controlled funds, and then down below I have them as cash-controlled funds. If it's a budget-controlled fund, I don't have to have the cash in the bank because I have an approved budget for it, like our M&O. I say we have a cash flow problem. I don't have to have the cash in the bank to write those checks. But eventually it all has to work out because it's budget approved. And these, the lower half of the page is cash controlled, so I can't spend unless I have cash. So when you get down here to the federal projects, that's your federal revenues outside of food service. And those have project numbers 100 through 399. And these are all put in according to the USFR, which is the rule book of how we code our financing, so that everyone basically uses the same thing. So with a few exceptions in there, that's how it rolls. State projects are 400 accounts, so we only have a few of those. I didn't get into all the 500 accounts because those are all cash controlled and there's a lot of rules, and I figured I wasn't going to have your attention span at that point in time. We can get through these big numbers first. But we do a lot of activities in our enterprise funds. And then if you were to go further, your 600 funds are your bonds and your capital funds.
Hey, Laura, can you just send us a breakdown of the 500 level funds?
Sure, I can do that, yeah. In fact, I was thinking if you want those, the monthly report where I have all those listed, I could put the fund numbers, I could insert a column and put that fund number there, if that is something you want.
Yeah, the easier it is, the better. Thank you.
Okay. So this is the same chart that I used when I did your AFR. At the end, I did an estimate based on dollars in the classroom, percentage in the classroom. So the fact that we get 55% into the classroom, that is very, very good. Because I can tell you if you're a small district, you have a hard time getting like 47% in there. And the reason is as the district grows, you can get the higher percentage because your administrative costs actually can be contained. Whereas a small district, you've got to do the same reports that the big district does, and you don't have the staff to do it. So sometimes it's difficult for people to understand that, but we're a pretty healthy size, and to get to 55%, I think, is something that you should be proud of. And a lot of it has to do with how your coding is done. And I know here we are very fair in our coding, and to get to 55%, that's pretty hard to do. So down here you have your instructional support. And I have a slide coming up here that'll tell you what exactly all those are. And then you've got your student support, which now they don't count that as dollars in the classroom, but that's like your audiologist, your pathologist, your OTs, your PTs, your nurse, your attendants. And so those people are only there to serve students. They're not there for any other purpose, but they still don't count towards classroom dollars. And if we don't have those people, who's going to do it? So when the governor says take 5% away from these other categories, well, who's going to do that work? So it's something that people need to be aware of. In theory, it sounds like a great idea. But in reality, if I take 5% away from transportation, who's going to do the bus driving? Or how are the kids going to get to school? If I take 5% out of food service, who's going to feed the kids? Is the teacher going to go over there and cook? You know, are they going to do their own custodial work? I don't know that anyone has really understood what they think they're going to do. Where are we going to get it from? I don't know. I don't have any waste here, so 5% out of plant operations. So are we going to shut the air conditioner down for 5% of the time? I don't know. Are we not going to water the fields? Are we not going to clean? These are things that we're going to have to come to understand. This is 12 to 13. The Auditor General should be posting the FY14. They still haven't. They've had the information since October. Usually in December they really start compiling it, so I expect that the 14 numbers will be posted. As soon as they are, I'll bring that to your attention. So, this was an interesting chart that was just put out. This is Arizona school districts, statewide, obviously, and the districts are on the left and the charter schools are on the right. And if you look at some of those, like the administration, in a school district is 10%. These are a little bit different categories here. They don't transfer straight over, but the charter schools are 21%, twice as high. The student support in a charter school is 5%, and in a district it's 8%. Well, I can tell you why. They don't serve what we serve. We take every child that comes in the door. So we have to provide the services that every one of those kids need. And at a charter school, they don't do that. They can say, I don't have those services available, go over to Higley. So we have to provide those services.
Would transportation fall under the blue category? Maybe?
In this, it would fall under other, yes. And most charters don't do transportation. Some do. But if you look at the traffic, you'll see. And we spend a couple $1 million in transportation. That, even when we did the performance audit with Higley Unified School District, that was one of their findings, is that we spend too much money in transportation. And the fact of the matter is we're doing the best that we can. And in the landlocked situation that we are with a railroad running through it.
I know it's hard for people to understand because people think, well, you're a smaller area, your transportation should be less. But in a little bit more detail, if you want to add to that every bus has to have standard checks. Every bus has to, before it goes out on the road, whether you're going to go 30 miles or 2 miles, that driver still has to do those standards before and after. Anyone else like to?
Yeah, well, we have even
describe
Zonar, so we've done the technology piece where they can read that the driver has done his pre and post check on the bus. The Auditor General feels that every bus on average should be 85% full. It's easy to get a K-3 school bus 85% full because they're all friends, but you put 80 high schoolers in there, you don't want this. This is not a good idea. So it's fluctuations and that sort of thing, and you always have a district that's got a bus that's, it's only going to be full so far. And then you plan your routes based on enrollment, not cheeks in the seat. So if those kids are absent, you still have to have the capacity to pick them up. So it's not a very good operation for us. It just never will be. I had another small district in town that's in a very unsafe area. And there's jail around the corner, and there's bad people hanging out on the street, and they lost lots of money too. You have to decide what is more important.
Do the bus drivers do a daily head count?
Yes, they have to. They have locks, and there's rules on how we count it. You can either do an average for the day, or you can, if you've got the manpower, you can do the morning and afternoon, take the higher of the two. It's got its whole system in there. That's a good question, though. Okay, so then you might ask, well, just what exactly is classroom expenditures? So we have teachers, instructional aides, substitute teachers, athletic coaches, non-athletic directors, paper, pencils, crayons, textbooks, instructional kits. However, if I do my own printing in the district, then only the paper would count. And the printing equipment and the person running the printer, that would not count towards the classroom. So then we have software, field trips, curricular activities, tuition, and of course if we have any contracted instructional services. Those are the only thing that counts towards the classroom. And all these other areas, I know you know what food service is. I don't know, all the plant operations, that's a big area that costs a lot of money, and we're going to open a new school next year. So that means we're going to have new utilities, plus SRP got a 4.9% increase. Well, that's just that much more money that we'll pay. So I want to give you categories here that you could see. And there's some other things, like you see IT staff is down here under instructional support, and they're also up under administrative, and it depends on their roles. what they are. Any questions? Comments? All right, so this is comparison of fiscal year 2006 and the money we used to get back then for the 6,959 students we had as compared to the 11,242 we have this year, and this was just reconciled yesterday to current numbers. So you can see you get about $400 more per kid 9 years later. You can see that you no longer get that $4.4 million in soft capital. We used to get the 4.3 in Coral. That would be your those two added together is what is considered DA now. So you can see that in 15, our allocation for DA was actually 4.3 million, but then they came down and they took 2.6 away. And in your charter additional assistance, we should have gotten 3.1 million, but to balance their budget, they took 1.1 away. So, and now that's what he's saying, he's going to reduce some more. And I still have to buy buses, and I still have to buy textbooks, and I still have to buy everything that we buy with capital, whether it's for the classroom or whether it's for something else. We also used to get building renewal money, which would help pay for our operations maintenance, preventative maintenance. We could charge that to some of the state money that we would get. And then back then, the state, SFB still had money, so we got almost $40 million to build a school, and now we do bonds. So it's a whole different world. And as much as we try to take care of everything, we're stretched. This is just an update on your bond expenditures. The voters approved it. So I keep track of all the expenditures by each voter-approved category. On the one side is the budget they approved for the $70 million. What we spent in FY14, which we did reduce a lot of debt. So that's money that would have been paid from our DA. So knowing that we had this bond and that our DA was going down and we had demands on our money, we paid off debt, which was allowed. So if we issue this 16.245 million, you can see that at the bottom of 15, we'd have a balance of the 28 million. So I just want you to know that we watch this money, we watch these budget lines. So in 15, for this current year, we lost $1.5 million in the override. We'll lose another $1.5 million next year. We did some of these specific things. It's not a complete list. It's what I could recall real quickly. Some of them have already put in place. Some will be. And then when we go into the next year, one of the things we need to come up with and consider as far as the budget goes, we're going to lose this charter school additional assistance, which we had originally budgeted for 3.1. Another phase out of our override is going to be another $1.5 million. And I don't really know what the governor's budget's going to be, and I want you to know that we may not know that till June 30th. It can go that long, so as much as people want to know what their budgets are, until the legislature approves everything, we don't know. And we just roll with the latest news like everybody else does. So our ADM numbers fluctuate, and we're not sure what our amounts are. But these are some of the things that you need to be aware of when we make decisions on what we're doing with our budget, just in the back of your mind. Any questions, or can I clarify? It's exciting, huh?
Yes.
All right.
was perfect timing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Can you go ahead and email that to all the board members?
Excuse me?
Can the presentation be emailed to the board?
Yes.
All right.
You're doing it.
Oh, thank you. Is tonight's performance going to be outside or inside? Okay. All right, we can go ahead and close work study, and we will resume regular meeting in just a couple minutes. Our regular meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We appreciate you guys coming. And kiddos, thanks for coming too. 1.0 is our regular meeting. We have a call to order. And 2.0 is roll call.
President Whitener, we have one board member missing this evening. Mrs. Reese had a family situation. All four board members, the other board members are here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll have our moment of silence, and after which we will have a pledge of allegiance. Through our moment of silence, I would ask that we can reflect on the Jordan Smith family, a Higley High student who passed away since our last meeting, and we can keep his family in our thoughts and prayers. I will go ahead and move to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 5.0 Superintendent's Report. We have some awards and recognitions and presentations tonight.
We do. President Whitener, members of the board, if you remember about a year ago, we were talking about the beginnings of a Mandarin immersion program at Coronado Elementary School. Well, 7 months into the school year, we are back. We have students who have been in this program since last August here to perform for you. We also have our latest promotional video that was put together by our Higley High School video students in cooperation with staff and parents in the district and at Coronado. We'd like to, and hopefully this will work, play this for you first, and then we're going to bring some students in. So let's go ahead and roll the video.
Hello, I'm Dr. Meilon Wong, the principal of Coronado. I've had the pleasure of pioneering the first Mandarin dual immersion program in the state of Arizona for young children in a public school. This is an exciting option that allows children to learn a second language naturally and quickly.
Higley Unified School District is proud to offer this innovative and highly effective world language program. The Mandarin Dual Language program starts in kindergarten and will eventually build all the way up to high school.
Research shows students who are enrolled in the Mandarin Immersion Program starting in kindergarten and first grades and continue through the program to 5th and 6th grades score better on state assessments in the areas of language arts and math than their peers who are not enrolled in the Mandarin Immersion Program.
When we chose Coronado for the Chinese immersion, we had expectations for the stronger academics for our daughter through the math and science. We knew that would help her on the educational side, going through elementary into high school.
As we looked into their immersion program versus the other Chinese language programs, we just found that it was the best teaching style and the best program for our kids. So we decided to apply for a boundary exception, and we were lucky that they accepted us.
Coronado Elementary is an A-rated school with a strong legacy of excellence. Our vision goals are to engage your future, connect to the world, and inspire greatness.
In the Mandarin Immersion program, I will use lots of visual aids to help them to understand what I'm teaching. For example, the flashcards, I use my body language to help them understand.
The Mandarin side teacher and I work together by collaborating every Thursday. We use the Arizona State standards to drive all of our lessons, and we design the best curriculum that is needed for the students for the following week.
I am so in love with this program. After the first 8 weeks, my child could count from 1 to 20, and it was amazing.
Mandarin was chosen for our immersion program for many reasons. If a person knows English and Mandarin, he or she can speak to 50% of the world's population. Also, Mandarin is an important language to know because it is the #2 language of business right behind English. We want to prepare our students for the competitive job market that awaits them later in life.
Our district is committed to building this excellent language learning option. Mastering a second language will prepare our students for professional level jobs worldwide. We know schools need to change to meet the challenge of an increasingly global society that demands new skills to be successful in the future. Higley schools are preparing students for a brighter tomorrow. That video is up on the Coronado website. If you'd like to see it again, it's there. At this time, we're going to have some students come in here and actually demonstrate for you some of the things they've learned. And I'd just like to ask our 4 board members to come on down here and have some front row seats. And at this time, I believe we are ready. And as the board members are coming down here, I'd like to introduce Dr. Meilon Wong, the principal at Coronado. This would not have been possible without her leadership, her expertise, and her experience in putting together Mandarin immersion programs here in the state of Arizona. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Wong.
Thank you, Dr. Nance, and good evening. Governing Board Whitener and Governing Board members, thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you some of the things that our students have learned and how amazing it is that they're able to have the poise and the memory that they have to be able to do these things. So as they line up, we have about 30 first and second graders here today. They've been learning English for 50% of it, not learning it, but practicing reading and language arts skills and science, social studies in English. And then the other half of the day, they work with our Mandarin native-born teachers who teach them their mathematics and their science, and it is all in the native language. So today I don't really know, but I've been told by those who do, their accent is perfect. So be on the lookout to hear that. So we're going to turn it over to our teachers, and we have 4 special students who will be introducing themselves and their teachers tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, sensing the sunshine fishermen. My name is Avery. And my name is Brooks. My name is Isla. And my name is Coulter. We are from the first grade Mandarin program. Our Chinese teacher is Miss Young Lao Shi. We are from the kindergarten Mandarin program. Our Chinese teacher are Miss Zhou and Miss Ye. Zhou Lao Shi and Xie Lao Shi. We are glad to perform 2 songs for you tonight. 今晚我们表演的是两只老虎 Two Tigers. 小 Yi Zhao, know your body. Please enjoy 齐先生。
I'd like to introduce the president of our Mandarin Council, Rachel Newcomb.
Hi, good evening, Dr. Nance, President Whitener, Governing Board, and community. Like she said, my name's Rachel Newcomb, and I am a proud parent of a child in the Mandarin Immersion Program here at Coronado, as well as the president of the Mandarin Parent Council. We hope you enjoyed tonight's performance and that you were able to see a small snapshot of what our students are learning. As a thank you, we'd like to give you some Coronado chopsticks, and there's also a bookmark with your names written in Chinese in them. So they'll pass those out to you. As a parent, I am continually impressed with the knowledge of the Chinese culture and language my child is learning in such a short amount of time. And he comes home and teaches it to our family, and I've got a little 2-year-old, and it's so cute to see him teach him how to count in Mandarin and learn the language, so it's really neat. I am pleased with the academic growth he has had, again, in such a short amount of time, and I'm so excited for the opportunities he will have in the future because of his participation in this program. Thank you again for bringing this program to Coronado Elementary and for helping our Higley students connect to the world, engage in their future, and inspire greatness. Thank you.
What a wonderful performance. And we have a gift for you from the board. This is 3 Chinese coins. This is wishing you good luck and great opportunity, as well as a scroll of wise words for students. So we also have a coloring program for you too as well. So this is our gift to you as well. So thank you so much.
As our students exit, then we'll go ahead and greet the governing board on the way out the door. And parents, if you can either go out that door or this door over here and meet your children, that would be great. We don't want to leave them outside in the parking lot. Thank you, governing board, for allowing us this opportunity to share with you some of the amazing things that our students are doing.
As our parents and students are making their way out, just like to ask all of your help. We need to find more students for next year for this program. We are currently registering kindergarten, first, and second graders for the next school year. We have room in all 3 of those grades, so please help us spread the word. At this time, we have some awards we'd like to present. First, I'm going to ask Dr. McCauley to come on up to the podium. Dr. McCauley is going to recognize 2 students this evening for their Explore assessment scores. The Explore test is a test that's given to 8th graders. Over 41,000 students took this test. 22 students had a perfect score, and 2 of those 22 are here in Higley at Sossaman Middle School. So I see proud Principal Diab back there as well. So Dr. McCauley, if you'd like to make those presentations.
Sure. So to put it into perspective, 41,000 8th graders took this test. Did you guys hear that? 41,000. Okay, so they are in the 0.00058% of those kids who took this test. So Layla Headley and Layla Headley and Caleb Gooch. It's just as rare to get a perfect score on the Explorer as it is on the ACT, and we see future perfect ACT scores for these two in a few years. Okay, so the governing board.
And we're going to ask Dr. McCauley to stay up here because we have some staff awards that I'm going to ask Mrs. Sorensen to introduce.
So as you know, we regularly bring to you our points of pride for the district, and this month we are recognizing the Student Information System Department as well as the Business Department in just a moment. And so Dr. McCauley, as the director of that department, has some special honors to give.
Great. Well, so here's the thing. Nobody ever is trained how to use an admin assistant. In fact, usually you have one that's kind of watching you one day, and they recognize that you're doing something that they feel they should be doing and you shouldn't, and that's when your education begins. Mine started when I was a principal with a former admin assistant, and I was able to come here, and Julie has been my admin assistant, and we just had our 5-year or 4-year anniversary. 5-year. She keeps these dates. I just learned today. But so what I learned is a good admin assistant can help you stay on top of tasks and projects in your department, help you manage your materials and resources, and keep you organized and usually maneuver you in a direction, give you a shove, and then you go on your way. But what I've learned is a great admin assistant does all that and a little bit more. A great admin assistant recognizes when maybe you need a little break. You don't recognize it, and your admin assistant can sense that. They also tend to be very vigilant and stay on top of things for you and recognize all of those dominoes and know that if that one falls, exactly which dominoes are going to be affected. And they come and alert you, and you get to troubleshoot that. Julie does all of that. She has been amazing. She has to wear as many hats as I do, switching from Galileo to Synergy to Ames testing to now AC Merit. And she just does it all in stride. She's also our people person. Not that we're not, but when we're not feeling chit-chatty, she takes one for the team and kind of does the socializing for us, and has the biggest heart of anyone I've ever known. If somebody is ailing, I can count on a get well card waiting for me to sign that's already been signed by half the district that Julie just went out and in her thoughtfulness got for somebody. So I'd like to recognize Julie Shipman, who's been in the district since 2004 in the Student Information Systems Department. 2 of her children graduated from our district, one from Higley High and one from Williamsfield, and her son Trevor was the very first ever student council president at Williamsfield High School. Let's give Julie a round of applause.
And Governing Board, the second award that we have this evening, we've stepped just a little bit out of the box with this one because departments have been told that they can pick a point of pride. But with our business department, we were talking today and I said, there's that one book, I think, or a movie that's called The Incredible Shrinking Woman. We have like the Incredible Shrinking Business Department. And so we could just pick one, but because all we have back there is literally three people in our business department, with the exception of Laura. Laura makes four. We decided to go outside of the box and select all three of our business office support staff employee as our points of pride. So I'm going to have Dr. Thomason talk just a little bit about the three of them and then ask them to come up.
Once again, Rochelle, Lisa, and Isabel have come together to make sure that Higley Unified School District has received the Excellence in Educational Accounting Award, and this is for over a $50 million budget that these three ladies have come together to make sure that we're doing everything we need to do to be successful within our educational system and the accounting. So I'd like to Isabel, Lisa, and Rochelle to come up, please.
Do you want to come up for a picture?
Thank you very much. We appreciate all those who even took the time and effort to put those presentations together for the board and the community, and we appreciate all those efforts and everyone who's been recognized. We have some upcoming events. Spring break is March 9th through the 13th. Tuesday, March 24th, Governing Board Work Study District Office. And we'll go ahead and move to any board comments this evening.
I would just like to say I went last Thursday to the STEM program over at Coronado. It was incredible. The Sea Life Aquarium people were there. The Transformer car was there. It was just a wonderful night to encourage young people to go into the STEM program. This last Sunday, I attended the Scottsdale Arabian Horse Show up in Scottsdale. And I'm pleased to announce, and hopefully at an upcoming board meeting, that a second grader at Power Ranch won second place artwork at the Scottsdale Arabian Art Show. And also there was a number of honorable mentions for the students from Coronado and Power Ranch, so I look forward to seeing them at an upcoming board meeting. So they represented the Higley schools very well, so thank you.
Thank you. I wanted to thank those who helped put together last night's community grief meeting that was for community members and students and parents and staff, and want to thank those who participated and those who were able to attend, and that our community knows that our efforts to serve and support our students and our families will continue on, and that we still have those services and help available. And I appreciate Dr. Monroe and your help and effort to organize that, and it was it was a great evening. Miss Reese was able to attend as well, so thank you to those who were able to do that. Any other board comments, Mr. Hoffman?
I would just like to give a major shout out to the teachers and the staff and the administrative team over at Higley High School. It's been a rough few weeks, and I just think you guys did a phenomenal job supporting the students, setting a positive example, being professional, and really just the strength that you all exhibited. You know, I understand that it may not have touched you as closely as it touched the students, but nonetheless, it takes its toll. So very nice job.
Thank you. 6.0, request to speak to the governing board. Mrs. Walker, do you have any requests down there? I do not have any up here. 7.0, consent agenda items. I move that we approve 7.1 through 7.4 on the consent agenda items.
I second.
Is there any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carry 4-0. Thank you. 8.0, we do not have any old business at this time. 9.0, we have some action information items. 9.1, I move that we table this regulation as there is not enough information to go ahead and move forward with a second read.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
President Whitener,
Mr. Hoffman?
I'll move that we also table item 9.2 because there is current legislation that's working its way through the legislature that will address this.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 9.3, we have second read and possible adoption of amendment of policy BE, which is school board meetings, to change the dates to our regular meeting schedule. I will move that we amend policy BE school board meetings dates and change to first and third Wednesdays.
I second that motion.
Okay. With some further explanation and discussion items. Past boards have been able to change meeting dates. This is for me, a fourth new board, my fourth different grouping of board members. And in years past, we have solely changed board meetings for specific solely one person, whether that person was attending school or that person had a coaching responsibility that was with their own child, and that we had changed meetings. I will not mislead the community. It was myself who asked to change the board meetings. In November, I received a new calling in my church. I am over the youth group that is in my church, and they meet Tuesday nights. I made a decision to wait until we had new board members, those that were coming on, to receive the input from new board members. At that time, we also had to wait for a fifth board member, so in which we started discussions in January. I also removed that from agenda item to wait until we had a fifth board member to receive input. So I will not mislead the community, as I have been accused of lying and having ulterior motives for this reason. I am asking to change the board meeting date so I can meet with my youth group, which I am over every week, Tuesday evenings, especially at this time that the most recent death was in my youth group, and children that are in my immediate supervision and leadership. I feel it's important that I am with them immediately in the next coming weeks as we deal through this trial. So I ask that the board could help support me in being able to change this meeting date, as well as I do miss my son's PAC meetings, and I did miss his blue and gold tonight. Those also fall on Tuesdays as well, so there was not any misleading or misguidance. So I would appreciate any support discussion. Through last meeting, it was discussed that we table it. We do take into consideration those that offered their input last meeting. Ms. Reese did prefer earlier in the week and is better for her. So if there are any other discussions on that, the motion is for first and third Wednesdays.
President Whitener.
Mr. Hoffman.
So I have two work-related conflicts, one on the first and one on, actually I have three on Wednesdays, one on the first Wednesday, second Wednesday, and fourth Wednesday. The second and fourth, I have spoken with our company president, and those I can be excused from. So if we could simply make a friendly amendment to do second and fourth Wednesday, I would be able to attend.
I will second the amendment of the first and third motion. Can you second? Okay. Yeah. All those in favor?
Just for clarity, second and fourth, right?
second and fourth. I am just changing the meeting. It's up to the board if we want to, if you want to take the board meetings out of policy so they are easily adaptable to be changed without a first and second read, and when we need to change meetings.
So I would just ask that you make your motion about changing the meetings, because you only want one issue in a motion. So, if you change your meetings or not, you can then have the motion of whether you want to remove that sentence that says what date meetings will be held. So you could do it in 2 steps. Did I mess it up enough for you that you don't understand?
President Whitener.
Good.
Mr. Little.
So is there already a motion to change the meeting and it's already been seconded? I just want to be sure we're okay.
President Whitener, could we ask that you also include when this would begin? When we talk about first Wednesday, that's next week, second Wednesday is spring break. When would the first date of the new Wednesday meetings begin, if you could?
I would assume the 4th Wednesday of March, but I would like to confer with Dr. Birdwell, meaning if we need a special meeting for budgets or contracts, we've done those before in the past.
One of the issues we have is if it is next week, Cindy's going to need some time to put that together, and if it's the second, spring break becomes an issue.
So 2nd and 4th would entail just having the 4th Wednesday meeting in March. Okay, so the motion is to change, we're amending the policy right now to change to 2nd and 4th. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The second motion is to change the policy that we don't have to do a first and second read every single time if we want to change the date. I will move that we can, are you just getting rid of the regulation, the BE?
What you want to do is remove from policy BE the sentence that identifies the days. Like currently it says meetings will be held on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays. I would recommend deleting that sentence so that there is not within the policy a statement of when meetings will be held, so that you don't get to some point where you forget about the policy and then something is challenged as being invalid because it's contrary to your policy.
So, President Whitener, I look at this as also a sunshine issue. I mean,
well, I moved it. Can someone second? Then we can just discuss.
President Whitener.
Mr. Little.
You made the motion?
I made the motion.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I was just, so if there wants to be discussion, so we can.
So, President Whitener,
Mr. Hoffman.
as I was saying, I see this as a sunshine issue also. And so the first and second read, we changed this so infrequently. I mean, this has been 2 years in on the board, and this is the first time that we've actually changed it. At least in my term, I understand that it may have been different in the past, but this is still a fairly infrequent change that would be made. And as such, I think that a first and second read is appropriate so that it gives, that guarantees that you have 4 weeks at least for the public to become aware that the policy, that the meeting dates moving forward will change. So I don't necessarily see a reason to pull that.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Just make sure that if we can put that on our homepage website as soon as possible. Thank you. I don't know who to direct that to. Okay, 10.0 is executive session. 10.1, I move that we recess into executive session for legal advice and discussion of the contract for the superintendent as authorized by ARS 38-401.03.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4.0. Thank you. .0, we have action information items. 11.1, I move that we resume back into open meeting session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 11.2, possible action concerning superintendent contract. I will, Mr. Hoffman.
Do you want to make it or can I?
You can.
So President Whitener, I move that we approve the board president signing a contract with Assistant Superintendent Mike Thomason for the job of superintendent of the Higley Unified School District.
I'll second that. I'd like to go ahead and read something from Ms. Reese. I would like the members of our community to know that I am very proud to support Dr. Thomason as the new superintendent of the Higley Unified School District. I look forward to working with him in the future and doing great things for our district, community, and kids. And she said, of all people, you would understand why she couldn't make it tonight. I would like to go ahead and thank the community and Dr. Thomason and congratulate him in this very lengthy, very well process. And I guess we'll go ahead and take a vote, and then maybe we'll add some things. Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
President Whitener, members of the board, it has been a great honor and a privilege to work in the #1 large school district in the state. I don't think we could have made it this far without the support and the strength of the board, and I'm just so honored and privileged to be a part of this district. I will do everything I can to move us forward. We are #1 in the state, but I look forward to taking us further, faster, to be a top quality school in the nation. We've outgrown the state. Let's take on the world.
Thank you. I would like to thank Mrs. Sorensen. And I know it's hard for many people to understand how much time and energy and effort and all of the panel committees, starting back in September and October and November, and those who participated from our small group forums to the paper screening, the interview panels, those who are here at the meet and greet, the luncheons with the candidates, and I can assure you, I know Mrs. Sorensen I have come to know and appreciate her integrity and what she values and what's important for our district. I appreciate the community members who participated in sharing their thoughts and their perspectives, and I appreciate the board and their time and effort. And it wasn't the board wanted to make sure we were doing the right thing, and I appreciate all the board's participation and discussion. And I congratulate you, Dr. Thomason, and we look forward to having you lead our district.
Thank you, President Whitener. I would also like to thank my family, my direct family, CJ and Lisa, for being here, and my relatives, Linda and Charlie King, and Charlotte, and Aaron and Ashley, for being here to support me tonight. Thank you very much, guys. It's greatly appreciated.
Mike, could they stand up for us? Mike, could they stand up?
Emily.
President Whitener.
Mr. Hoffman.
I too would like to thank Sheila. It was a long process, and what I hope everybody understands is that we have an awesome district from a resourcefulness standpoint, and Sheila leading the charge for us and spearheading the superintendent search. Most districts, when they do this, they use a search firm, and that can cost $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 plus just to conduct your search. And so with Sheila, we were able to do that within our current budget, and so it cost us nothing additional, which is a huge benefit to the district. Mike brings an incredible amount of skill. He brings a knowledge of our district, a core knowledge that we are just excited to have. We've got 2 years that are going to be a little tough coming up, and Mike's going to take us where we need to go. He's going to be the guy that helps us get through that and navigate it smoothly. So very excited to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman.
President Widener.
Mr. Little.
I'd just like to add my congratulations to Dr. Thomason. You know, new board member, first board meeting was Thursday. That Friday following, we jumped right into interviews. And we had many well-qualified candidates, and Dr. Thomason is the right superintendent for Higley. And really proud of his accomplishments and look forward to working with you in the future. And Dr. Thomason clearly has his heart with Higley and really wants Higley to continue its great tradition of being a #1 school district. I particularly moved into the school district intentionally. My kids are here. I have 3 kids at Centennial, 1 that will enter soon. So it was important for me as a parent to have the right superintendent, and I just want to congratulate Sheila as well, and Cindy Walker and Linda Good for all their hard work through the long executive sessions. And Dr. Thomason, you have an excellent team around you. Use them well.
Absolutely.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Little.
I would like to just ditto, okay? I've said thus far. Thank you, Sheila. You've done an outstanding job. And I just want to tell you, Mike, we've made the right choice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Wolfish.
Thank you. That's pretty exciting, and I feel like a lot of us are going to have a new day tomorrow, right? All right. 12.0, any future agenda items?
None at this time.
I will request that the Mrs. Laura Smith went through a couple this evening. I would like to request whether it's an information item or a future work study as we get into budget, that we have the exact specific cuts that have been made the last year or so for new board members as well, so they know what cuts have already been made. 13.0, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.